Kaylin, do you get any jitters at all before these games to start seasons, or have you learned to get over that over the years?
I mean, yeah, I think I'm excited to play, excited to get out there and play. I think it's different when it's the first one of the season. Like, you just are really amped up to get out there, a little anxiousness, but nothing I haven't experienced before. I think more than anything, just excited. I think once you eventually like get in the building and you get here and you get in your routine of preparing for the game, you're pretty locked in. And honestly, I'm ready to go play right now. Forget warm-ups. Yeah. Well, I think our size presents them opportunity to try some different things. I'm not sure how they'll match up with the certain lineups that we pick and choose. I think DB, knowing how our scouts were last year, having to guard her, it presents a real challenge, whether she's at the 3, whether she's at the 4, whether you're switching, how are you going to guard her, especially when you have me and Kelsey also in the backcourt. It causes a lot of challenges, but Camilla and Angel are active defenders. They're going to have their hands out. You're going to have to make good passes. I think we'll see mostly drop coverage. Could be wrong, but that's what they've shown mostly throughout the preseason. But you never know. You got to be prepared for anything. I think I wouldn't be surprised if I see some blitzes off of certain things. But yeah, that's what you go through the first game. You run a few plays to see what they're doing, see if they're switching, see how their ball screen coverage is, and then you go from there. You're not going to know everything before the game starts, but active defenders, long arms, and got to be ready for it.
Caitlin, I was just wondering if you feel like with every game, with every practice, with every day, with a team that has some new people, do you see things that click in every day that are progressing, if you will?
Absolutely. I think even where we were when we started this week and now where we're at here on Saturday, getting ready for this game, I think we're a lot better, and we had 4 practices or whatever it is. I think for us, it's how can we stack the days? How are we making sure we're getting better every single day? We don't have time to go backwards, and it's not going to be perfect on game one. It might look a little choppy out there at times with our offense and, reading new teammates and finding ways to put my teammates in positions to be successful and where do they like the ball, or reading matchups or finding mismatches and hunting those. But yeah, I mean, it's a new system, it's new teammates. So I think we have certainly improved from, our first preseason game into where we're at going into our first real game. But it needs to improve hopefully every quarter and every possession, and then certainly every game.
Does it feel like it's been an eternity since you played a game that counted, or does it feel now that it's gone by fast?
It feels like it's gone by fast, yeah. Which I didn't know going into the offseason of how exactly it would feel. I feel like just yesterday it was January, and I was itching for, this first game. I was, thinking about this moment. And, I mean, you think it will take a long time to get there, but it doesn't. If you just, stay consistent in what you do and follow your routines and, you stay busy, it comes pretty fast. But, yeah, it didn't feel slow. I feel like this moment has raced up on us.
Kaylin, can you talk about this? I mean, much has been made about this budding rivalry with Chicago and Angel Reese. Can you talk a little bit about that and coming out of the gates with this rivalry?
Yeah, I mean, you guys love it, that's for sure. But I told Michael this yesterday. I was like, rivalry is great for sport. I understand that. I grew up loving rivalries. I grew up in Iowa, Iowa State. That's a pro matchup in the state of Iowa. I understand that. Or whether it was my high school team, I still hate our rival high school, Valley High School. Sorry, I'm sure there's a lot of people from Valley High School that love me and support me now. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys, but I wasn't your biggest fan. I didn't like the Tigers growing up. So my parents, my grandfather was the football coach growing up, and Valley was our biggest rival. It was the biggest class in Iowa. And I was taught to, growing up, if we were driving by the high school, to hold my breath because I couldn't breathe that air. I know, it's kind of funny, but, rivalry is always a big thing. So I think it's more than anything, as a player, you approach the game the same every single time, or you should. That's how you should approach every single game. You prepare the same way. You come ready to play, whether it's the team that's last in the league or the team that's first in the league. It doesn't matter. I think for the fans, it's great. They love it. And Chicago is the closest team to us. We bus there usually, so I get it geographically. But I think for our team and our group, it's we prepare the same way every single game. But I expect today to be an awesome game.
When you thought about this moment in January, what did you think about?
So we have a TV in our weight room, and I think it was a countdown either to tip off or a countdown till All Star, because we have hosting All Star, and I was like 200 some days. I think it was to All Star or something, or under 200, whatever it was. And I'm like, dang, that feels like a while. Like, I wonder what it's going to feel like when we finally get to that day and get in that moment. But now looking back, that feels really like yesterday. So, yeah, I think I'm ready. I think, I've prepared for this, and, not everything is going to be perfect today for everybody on our team, for our team. It's how do we weather that? How do we learn through the mistakes? That's what Coach Steph talks about a lot, is how do you play through the mistakes? You don't stop playing. You keep playing. You figure it out. And sometimes that, helps you find some success too.
Caitlin, love that you mentioned how things could look choppy on the first go. As the orchestrator and point guard, last year you had to learn new teammates, whole new team this year. Is there anything from last year that you can bring into this year as far as how to more quickly learn where they like the ball, where they want it, all that good jazz?
I mean, obviously, still starting with Kelson AB. I know them pretty well. I know where to get them the ball. I think as a point guard early in the game, it's best to get your teammates some touches. That's going to make my job easier as the game goes on. Find everybody easy looks, find them, where they like it. I think things like that. But it's still going to be a process. Like, at the end of the day, the best way to learn is just to get into live action and live games. Like, practice, you can replicate it as much as you can, but the best way to learn is to go out there and just play. So I expect us to learn a lot about ourselves tonight, offensively and defensively. But yeah, it certainly is my job, I think, early on being intentional about that and finding them and putting them in positions to be successful.
Is this a new pair of Kobe's that you're bringing out tonight?
It is.
Debuting? Yeah. Can you?
Yeah.
What went into the decision to wear those? Are they custom? What should we know about the shoe?
They're custom, so you won't get them. But I think they're the Rookie of the Year Kobe PEs. So there's a picture that the Fever took after the season when I had my trophy. I was in my red uniform, so that's what they're based off of. Nike designed them. They did well, so yeah. Break. Yes. I've been wearing them in practice, but I take them off before you guys get there. Sorry. Yeah, I know.
Caitlin, one of the big storylines last year was how many games you had jammed in a short amount of time at the start of last season. Mm-hmm. How much have you benefited from a long offseason? This is probably the longest you've gone between real games maybe in your entire basketball career, been 7-8 months or something.
Yeah, I think it was really good for me mentally more than physically. I tell Steph this, like, I can play 40 minutes every single night. Now, is that probably the solution to me playing my best basketball? Probably not. I'm not going to play 40 minutes tonight either. But I think mentally just getting away from everything, like, it was a long season. There was a lot that surrounded the season. You're doing media basically every day. Like, that's a lot. That takes a toll on someone. And just relaxing and doing things that I enjoyed and, putting in work and finding ways to get better. Like you said, like, I really haven't had a true off season to work on the things that I needed to work on. And, to be honest, like, the things I had to work on in college were a lot different than the things I needed to work on playing professionally. Like, I could get away with not being the strongest in college because it's just a completely different game. So just, being consistent in that, and, I feel confident in everything that I did and all the time that I put in. And, now you go out there and believe in it and go show it.
Caitlin, I know you've talked.
Sorry.
I know you've talked a little bit about the support that you guys have gotten from the Pacers. I'm just curious what you've seen between sort of like the synergy between the two teams, and have you gotten a chance to talk to Jenny and Rick at all?
It's been really fun to support them, and obviously being here mostly in the off season, just seeing their entire season, and a lot of people were kind of doubting them through the first 20 or so games, whatever it was, but takes time. Not everything. People love instant gratification. Like, that's just the world we live in. But I think they're a very unselfish group. They play basketball the right way. If you want to watch really good basketball, that's one of the teams you should watch. They move the ball. They pass the ball. They're high energy. They're active on defense. They have a lot of depth. They can come off the bench with 6 players that can have, career nights. And I think that's what makes them a really tough matchup in the playoffs. And yeah, I mean, I've seen Rick and Jenny and just congratulating them and happy for them. And I know Jenny and Steph are good friends. So it's always nice to have other eyeballs around. Like, that's how you learn. You learn from people. You watch basketball. The best way to to learn is just to turn on the TV and watch the NBA. So I've watched probably 80% of the Pacer games this year. Like, I've really enjoyed watching them. I don't just say that because it's the other team we have in this city. I think they're a really fun group, and, you know, we're rooting for them to win it all.
Hi, Caitlin. Maybe you could put the Fever Sky rivalry into some context, like on a scale of 1 to your to 10, you know, being your high school rivalry, which just sounds awesome. Sounds like what a rivalry is and the way it's supposed to feel and all that, what's fun about it. The league is trying to make this a rivalry, 5 games and all that, but you just started playing each other. So, like, where is it? Where are you feeling it so
I think
far?
you can decide that. I'll leave that up to all of you, but I'm excited for today. I think it'll be fun.